Lived for 17 years with double club foot, if you can imagine, walking on basically her ankle bones for 17 years. It was painful. You know, you always hear that old Mr. Rogers line, look for the helpers, right? If you see somebody in an Operation Blessing shirt, you found a helper. Look for the helpers, you're gonna find us.
All right, you're in 70 countries.
Yeah.
How many, you guys have traveled a lot, even just this past year.
Sure.
How many disasters have you guys responded to? Welcome to the Dispatch on Purpose, where we talk about leading a purpose-driven life and leading with passion. And I am super excited today to be on the campus of Regent University in Virginia Beach and the global headquarters of Operation Blessing. And my guest today is a friend and the president of Operation Blessing, Drew Friedrich. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Amy. It's great to be here. And again, I've seen some episodes previously, so it's an honor to be on this pod and to have you here in our studio. This is a new studio for us, and so we haven't launched our official podcast yet, but we love being on other pods, and great to have you with us.
Thank you. I know you guys are really busy, especially during the holiday time, so it's an honor for us to be here and to share your story.
Cool.
So today, I want to talk a little bit, I want to talk about you and how you ended up in this space, but also we really want to highlight Operation Blessing.
Yeah.
You know, a local charity to us here, but a global charity doing such great work across the globe. Can you start by just give us some background and tell us a little bit about Operation Blessing?
Yeah, it's an honor to be the president of Operation Blessing. We've been around since 1978. Wow. Believe it or not, Dr. Pat Robertson, who founded this campus that we're on, walked onto the set of the 700 Club, a live television show at the time, had told nobody in the room that day what he was about to do, but the Lord had really spoken to him and said, I want you to do something to bless the world, to be a blessing to others. And so he walked in and said, on live television, if you can imagine that, I'm launching Operation Blessing. I have this idea. And so he looked at his co-host at the time and said, you're going to run it. And the guy had no idea what he was talking about.
And now he's committed.
Exactly. Very organic. At the very beginning, it was always about seeing a need and meeting a need. And so it was very simple. They had 3x5 note cards, and it was sort of like, if you don't have enough money for your light bill this month, call us. And if you have more than enough money that you need and you want to give to help somebody, call us, and they would match up those note cards. And if you don't have a suit for a job interview that you need and you've got more suits than you need, donate your suit and we'll pair it up. So it was very grassroots at the beginning. And that was 1978. And here we sit in 2025, almost 2026, and we're in 70 countries. We're helping people all over the world, and God is really, really good. But we've changed, we've grown, things have kind of ebbed and flown through the years, but at the end of the day, we're still about seeing those needs and meeting those needs. And so we do that in 5 key ways. Clean water, disaster relief, hunger relief, medical care, and child development is our newest pillar. I'd love to tell you more about that. But we really believe that our mission here is to bring help and hope to a hurting world. And the world is hurting. If you pay attention to the news, you look around Hampton Roads, you look around the world, people are hurting. And so we really believe that God's called us to be on mission to bring help and hope to a hurting world. And as a Christian organization, it's not just about the help for us. A lot of people can give help and give a handout, but it's that hope of the gospel, the hope of God's love that shows up paired with that really makes all the difference.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So how many people, so many questions. All right, you're in 70 countries.
Yeah.
How many, you guys have traveled a lot, even just this past year.
Sure.
How many disasters have you guys responded to this
36 this year.
36 disasters
and actually
year.
Before I knew you and we became friends, you were on my radar because our kids go to school together.
Yes.
And we responded in a major way to Hurricane Helene in Asheville.
Yes.
And the school was working with you all. At the time, I didn't know who you were.
I didn't
but
know
they were doing
either.
something, a supply drive basically to ship them down to Asheville. I remember seeing the social media posts about it and the emails from the school, and I thought, man, that's so cool. And little did I know we'd become friends just several months later. But that was a huge one for us last year, was Hurricane Helene in Asheville. But this year it's been 36. I've actually got a team right now on the ground in Jamaica. We're going to be there for several months. Hurricane Melissa just devastated. But actually I saw some photos today of a lady named Simone. We're going to rebuild a couple hundred houses down there. And we just finished our very first home rebuild. She and her 2 kids are out front of their house rejoicing. And so we finished the first of many houses that we're going to rebuild in Jamaica. But 36 around the world. It was actually kind of a quiet year here in the U.S. as it relates to hurricanes, which is, knock on wood, you know,
right?
But we've made it through hurricane season. But around the world, it's things like flooding and mudslides and fires and earthquakes and all kinds of things. And so it's been a busy year. It's never slow, but that's kind of what makes the job amazing and interesting and challenging and discouraging and encouraging all at the same time, because you walk in and it's never the same thing every day.
It is humbling, isn't it?
It is. It's incredible.
I was talking to your team before we got started about how lucky we are to have been born here,
Yeah.
and how blessed we are. And when you get out and you start seeing these disasters, you
man.
realize, I mean,
Yeah.
the things we take for granted.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how many people do you guys have on staff here at Operation Blessing?
Yeah, so we're over 100 now. We're growing kind of pretty regularly. That's just in the U.S. We're about 120.
Yep.
But then we've also got offices in 33 countries. We work in 70 countries because we've got partnerships in all the other countries around the world. So I would say our global staff is probably north of 300. And then you add on to that contractors and partners, we're well into the 500 number or more. And we have so many volunteers, thousands, tens of thousands of volunteers every single year working with us. So many volunteers here in Hampton Roads, actually. We have a warehouse, you're here at our headquarters, we have a warehouse in Chesapeake just down the road, over off Live Oak Drive. And we do packing events there 5 days a week usually. We're packing hunger relief bags for families right here in Hampton Roads. When we deploy to a disaster, for example, Hurricane Helene, we had volunteers from 39 different states come and volunteer with us in Asheville, North Carolina. So I always love to tell this story. We had somebody drive in from Washington State to Asheville, North Carolina to come volunteer with us. And we had a young guy give up his bachelor party and bachelor weekend to bring his groomsmen with him to come volunteer with us. That's what he did instead of having a bachelor party to come volunteer. So people have tremendous hearts. That's the other encouraging thing about what we do.
Yeah.
Our staff is phenomenal. God has called incredible people to this place. But the volunteers who show up, they're not getting paid. They just have a heart to serve and a heart to make a difference. And they show up, link arms with us, put on the Operation Blessing t-shirt, and they jump in and they're the hands and feet of Jesus. So it's pretty cool.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hurricane Helene was really close, and we felt that call. It was too close to ignore and help. And it is funny how we came full circle and then met you a couple months later.
Exactly.
But it was eye-opening.
Yeah.
We don't. I'm in real estate. We don't get to see that
Yeah.
very often. But I remember seeing poverty when I was in the Navy. Flying over Afghanistan and thanking the Lord that I lived here and saying, put me in a position to help.
Yeah.
And you guys are in a position to help a lot.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your pillars, because one of them I didn't know about.
Child development is the new one.
Yeah, the new one.
It's exciting for us because, since 1978, we've done water, hunger, medical, disaster. We had 4 pillars when I got here 3 years ago.
That's what I think about when I think about Operation Blessing.
In all those areas, we've always touched the lives of children, impacted them in some way. Because you put clean water in a village, it's not only helping parents, it's helping kids, it's helping schools, helping churches. You do the same with medical care. But before I came over here, I spent almost 8 years at a sister ministry of CBN called Orphans Promise. It actually started my family. My mom started the ministry. When I was a graduating senior in high school, my parents made the choice to adopt 3 girls from Ukraine. And so at the time, what they learned about orphans in Ukraine was only about 1% would ever be adopted. Wow. And when you turned 15, you were booted out of the orphanage. The government mandated it. You couldn't stay longer than 15.
15.
And so you're kicked out with no financial support, very little, no home life to speak of, no support system.
And you're still a child.
Absolutely. Girls turned to prostitution, guys turned to gangs and drugs. And so as my sisters were adopted and came here, my mom and another gal who was actually teaching my sisters English that is from Ukraine felt like they needed to do something. God was moving in their heart to say, you need to help those kids. And so they went back to Ukraine. They opened what they called a school of life. It was only going to be about teaching kids about Jesus, about life skills, about how to interact with others, social skills, that kind of thing.
Right.
It was only going to be one center. That's all it was going to be in Ukraine. Today there's 19 centers across Ukraine, and there's 540 partners around the world in all those 70 countries that I mentioned to you. And so I got the privilege of spending 7.5 years over there at Orphans Promise, helping to lead the strategy there, lead the fundraising and the marketing. Working alongside my mom was a major privilege for me. And
was that while you were younger or post-college?
No, that was just recently. I was there right before I came here. So graduated from college, was in the for-profit space for a little while. Actually worked at OB 13 years ago, believe it or not. Left to go do some for-profit marketing. And then mom said, I need some help here with what we're doing at Orphans Promise. And so I was there 7.5 years. And my plan was to be there forever, take over for mom when she retired and never leave. And so I loved that. We grew the organization significantly. God was making a big difference. And about 3.5 years ago, Gordon Robertson, the CEO of the Christian Broadcasting Network, came to me and said, I need somebody that I really trust to run Operation Blessing. And so he asked me to pray about coming over here. And it was not on my radar in any way, shape, or form. I really was content with what I was doing.
Funny how
this was right on the heels of COVID that he was asking me this. But during COVID, I'd been working from home. And so life was pretty smooth. We had one kid at the time. Now we're raising our niece as well, who you know really well. So life has changed for me pretty dramatically in the last 3.5 years. But in that process, that transition, I had to sort of let go of that idea that I was just going to be at Orphans Promise and take over from my mom someday. And we began to pray about what that looked like, because she can't work forever, and who's going to lead that if it's not me? And Mom and Gordon and I, through prayer, began to talk about, well, what would it look like if Orphans Promise became a part of Operation Blessing? And so over the last year, through prayer and really working together with the teams, in April of this year, when our new fiscal year began, Orphans Promise became the 5th pillar of Operation Blessing, and it's become our child development pillar. And so it's a huge deal for us. I mean, we added 540 partners that we didn't have before. And so Operation Blessing is larger by staff size, larger by revenue size, larger probably by impact in general. But because of the partnerships and the reach of Orphans Promise, it took our reach from 33 countries to 70 overnight. And again, that's how God works. We feel like he's an exponential God. He likes to grow things in big ways. And so what we've really been thinking about lately, which I'm most excited about, is taking child development and putting it at the center of everything that we do. So we're calling it the Help and Hope framework. Remember I talked about help and hope for a hurting world.
Yep.
We're going to put kids at the center of everything that we do, and then layer on top of that our expertise in water and hunger and medical and disaster. And we feel like that's the way that we can begin to transform kids' futures, hit their families in the process, transform their communities, and ultimately generations of kids I think will be in a different place because of the work that we're doing. So child development is our newest pillar, and I think maybe one of our most important because of the way it opens doors for us to reach families.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
That is cool. I learned a little bit about it when your wife and I actually hung out this summer.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. That's really neat. And as a mom, you were touching generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, having, I'm the oldest of 7 kids, 5 are adopted.
Yeah.
And though I love adoption, loved having adopted brothers and sisters, we really believe that if kids can grow up in a safe family environment, we can create that safe environment, remove some of the struggles of poverty, and kids can stay at home rather than going to an orphanage, for example. Yeah. Because the other thing we've learned along the way, in the last 20 years of Orphans Promise being around, is many of those kids that are orphans actually have a living parent, but the parent can't afford, or is in drugs or drinking or whatever the case may be. Poverty's forced them out of their home. And so if we can instead provide a support system that keeps them in their home with their own parents, we teach parents how to be great parents, we put God at the center of all of it, we create that healthy family environment they wouldn't have otherwise, then that's how we think we transform futures. Yeah. And so this gives us the chance to really do that. And we know from the work at Operation Blessing, clean water goes a really long way to ending poverty.
Yes,
it does. We don't think about that here in the U.S. We saw it some in Asheville when the water main was broken. But we think about clean water as whether or not we're drinking clean water. Yeah. But over there, it's sanitation and hygiene, and kids get sick and miss school, and parents get sick and miss work. And when a parent misses work in a developing nation, they're not getting paid. And then poverty begins to just put roots down in their family. When poverty sets in, nothing good happens. Yeah. And we really believe that through clean water, then medical care. So many people need surgeries. We have a whole life-changing surgeries program that we do. If you have some kind of malady, physical issue, and you can't overcome that, maybe you can't work. Yeah. Or in many of these places, we can't again understand this here, there's a shame associated with that. I met a gal in the Philippines, had just a very little investment. We can step into their lives and say, we're gonna fix both your club feet. And we did that, sorry. We did that, and she's now walking on her own 2 feet. She actually entered a beauty pageant, believe it or not, and finished second in her community. But what I loved about it was the smile on her face and the pride in who she is, versus who she was when I met her, the shame there. And it took almost nothing for us to fix that. Yeah. That's what we take for granted here in the U.S. is the things that we think are nothing. The cost of 10 coffees at Starbucks, can fix somebody's issues. And so, anyways, I say all that to say, when we offer that help and hope, right? Because you do a surgery like that for somebody and they ask you, why are you helping me? And we get to say, it's because God loves you. He sees he's got a different plan for your life. And so I just think the opportunities that we have to step into the lives of these kids and these families is really tremendous. We're excited about it.
Yeah. And globally, our dollar here just goes so far over there.
It's incredible.
In ways that you can't even imagine.
I was just in budget meetings for 5 hours before you got here, so I know exactly what you mean. And we're looking at it in dollars, we're looking at it in local currency, and the difference is stark in many places. And I think it's why we try, and we want to take care of our own here in the United States. There's so many needs here domestically, and we're doing something about that. But also, we believe that God's called us to go to the nations, to love people all over the place. And we're thrilled that we can take a donor dollar and expand it and stretch it and get the most bang for the buck to go help as many people as possible all over the world.
Yeah. Okay, so you talked about you guys are in Jamaica right now. Where else are we currently?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a team in the Philippines. One of our biggest offices in the world is in the Philippines, and they travel all over the place. Believe it or not, our Philippines team just got back from Israel. That may seem kind of wild, but there's actually a huge Filipino community in Israel, caregivers there who care for the elderly Jewish people in Israel. And when the war happened, all those caregivers were impacted just like everybody else. And so we had a very unique opportunity to go in as a Filipino team to minister to those people.
Wow.
And we were actually invited back by the Israeli government to come in and do some work, some trauma counseling, some healing, some feeding programs. So we've got teams there. Disaster-wise, Jamaica's kind of our main focus right now, although we're still on the ground in Asheville. We're still rebuilding houses in Asheville. We're going to be there for several more months.
Need there.
And so I think it's, you look at all the countries, we've got offices in Guatemala, Peru, Honduras, Mexico, Kenya, Nigeria, Cambodia. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. And in all those places, we're doing all these various things: water, hunger, medical, disaster, child development. And so what we're really working on, and what I was talking about in our budget meetings today, is how do we get to a place where in these child development hubs, which is what we're calling this new framework, how do we ensure that every kid in those child development programs has access to safe, clean water?
Yeah.
How can we ensure that they're eating enough food? If their parents are having a hard time putting food on the table at home, how can we help them launch a micro enterprise? That's one of the things we do that gets not a lot of publicity because it's not kind of sexy.
Right.
We help parents all over the world start small businesses, food carts, artisans. So many of these people have skills that are just innate to their cultures, and no ability to launch a business on their own. And so we'll come in and help them say, what are you good at? What do you enjoy? What are you passionate about? We get them back to work. We teach them how to run a business, how to do their accounting. And we're talking about, again, a very small investment from our side that can mean hundreds of dollars a month in their lives, and it's a complete difference. So yeah, pretty neat.
That is really neat.
Yeah.
I had no idea on that side either.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
It's at work. People say we're kind of the best kept secret around here. I don't like being a secret. I want people to know what we're doing because I think it really matters. And I really believe in the same way that volunteers want to serve, I think people want to give. They just don't know where to give many times. There's a lot of distrust, I think, for the nonprofit space. They've seen people misuse funds and all that kind of stuff. One of our values here at Operation Blessing is steadfast stewardship. We want to be sure that when you give to us, you trust that we're going to do exactly what we say we're going to do with your money. And so I think it really matters that nonprofits do that and respect the donors. They have a choice to give anywhere, spend that money anywhere. When they spend it with us, we better go help people with it.
Yeah. And in full disclosure, I actually had no knowledge of Operation Blessing a year ago, and before I met you. And actually, I'll take that back. I had a very small knowledge because my CFO at Remax came from Operation Blessing.
Okay.
And she did bookkeeping here for many, many years.
Gotcha.
And the pace is way faster here and bigger, and she was slowing down, and she came and worked with us.
Sure.
Where she could stay put and not travel.
Yeah.
But as I met you and I met your family, and then when Hurricane Helene came through and ripped through North Carolina, we got involved with a couple different charities down there just by default, my husband and I, just because we were in the space and had the opportunity to contribute some of our services to help. But I do feel like it's Hampton Roads' best kept secret. Here's this massive global charity doing work in so many different countries, in 70 countries, and doing such amazing work. And locally, people here don't even know.
Right.
They don't even realize what's here.
We're trying to get the word out, and this is a huge help, obviously, right? Things like this is part of it. And I really, I grew up here. I was born in Wisconsin, but I spent most of my life here, and I love this place. And I've seen the hearts of people, and we're in kind of the hurricane zone, so nobody can relate to that more than this kind of mid-Atlantic region often. And so I just think there's a group of people here that need to know about us, because I think they'd love to come volunteer, they'd love to give, they'd love to support what we're doing, and we'd be excited to get them on board with that.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned packing sessions.
Yeah.
Derek and I are actually signed up for our first packing session
in January. Let's go. That's awesome.
Do it. And they're during the day, which for us is amazing because the kids are in school.
Absolutely.
So we can go do that.
Yeah,
so it's on
our team
schedule.
that runs our volunteer stuff is incredible. Dan Moore is a guy who's been with us for a very, very long time. Actually came on board during Hurricane Katrina 20-some years ago. And now runs all of our church engagement and volunteer relationships. And his team under him do a great job. So when you come, I think you're going to really have a good time. And the thing that I love about it is, again, you get to put on the Operation Blessing t-shirt, so you're one of us, right? Yeah. And then on top of that, though, the work you're doing here is going into Hampton Roads. There's work that we do to pack that goes all over the place. We pack disaster relief kits that might go all over the country. But the hunger relief stuff that we do, particularly during the daytime, is going right here into Hampton Roads. We have 75 local church partners that we distribute those bags through, and that's feeding families that are having trouble putting food on the table. And I say this all the time when our volunteers come to an event. When you're packing a bag with Operation Blessing, you're answering a prayer that has not yet been prayed. Because there are moms and dads every night in Hampton Roads who are saying, Lord, I don't know how to feed my kids tomorrow. And suddenly a bag from Operation Blessing shows up that you packed, and you're making a difference. It's not a maybe. We can guarantee you're touching someone's life. And I get the benefit of hearing those stories every day. So I walk in here and it encourages you, it fires you up, and it's like, we've got to do more, we've got to grow, we've got to raise more money so we can help more people. But I really believe that it's important that, again, we want to go minister to the world, but if we're ignoring what the needs are right here in Hampton Roads, I think we're missing the mark.
Yeah. It is addicting, though, helping other people.
Oh, man.
You do it and you find, and I was telling your team earlier, too, how the podcast has kind of morphed because we've done more charity and more local support. And I do a lot with CHKD and things like that. But the more you give, the more you wish you had the resources to give more.
Absolutely.
You just want to keep giving.
Absolutely. I think it's in all of us, and that's the thing is when we see our fellow man in trouble, right? I think many of us are moved to compassion, and we oftentimes can be conditioned to kind of look away and just take care of our own. I think that happened a lot during COVID, honestly. We were just like, let me tighten the circle and worry about this. And I think we do ourselves a disservice if we stop looking around us to say, where can I make a difference and where can I help? I've had the privilege of having my kids with me in Asheville, a couple times. And they're 12 and 13 now. They were 11 and 12 at the time. And getting to see them serving others, giving to others, helping them understand we've got it really good here. They don't understand at all, but at least beginning to understand there are people who have less than they do and they need to be able to do something to help. And maybe don't even have less than they do, but they've lost everything through no fault of their own. I remember meeting a guy in Asheville. He made his last mortgage payment on Thursday, and on Monday his house washed down the river. And here he is now living in an RV, doesn't still have a house because of all the insurance process and all the red tape. And you go, that guy was doing everything right. And yet, boom, he was impacted. And so my son's there praying over him and giving him a bottle of water and some socks, all these things. And it's just little things like that. I want to teach my kids. I hope other people would begin teaching their kids. It's about serving and loving other people. It always has been, and especially for believers, we've got to go out there and make a difference. Yeah, it is. And it doesn't matter your financial status. No. It doesn't matter what you did prior. These disasters, they don't pick and choose. No. Absolutely not. So, those, I think a lot of us feel very immune to it. We feel very sheltered until you go into somewhere like that and you see you could be doing everything right and the next day just is not your day. No question about it. But it also, I think it softens people's hearts in that moment too. So often when they've lost everything, they're at their most vulnerable. And so it allows us to step into that moment. That's again where we help anybody. We don't ask questions. Hey, what faith are you, or what, any of that stuff when we're helping people. Right. But we are a faith-based organization, and so we know that we can step into a scenario like that and remind people there are better days ahead. We say around here a lot, if the story's not good yet, then God's not done writing it. And so your story looks rough today, but God's not done writing it. We're here to help you write that next chapter, help you get back on your feet and figure out what comes next, but remind you that this isn't where the story ends. This is just one bad day, and there's some good days coming, and Operation Blessing is going to kind of help you get there. Nice. Yeah. All right, so we decided to do this podcast over the holiday time. Sure. Because Operation Blessing gives so much hope to people. But we also want to capture those who are looking for a way to help. Those that want to give back. And there's so many different ways. Financially, we're coming up on the end of the year, and there may be those that are looking to donate. But also volunteer. Coming into the new year, there'll be volunteer opportunities. How can people help? Yeah, the easiest way is our website. It has all the information. Certainly connect with us on social media. Our YouTube channel is awesome. We're releasing a ton of great new content there. I've seen some of your content. It's great. But if you want to help, volunteer, ob.org, like Operation Blessing, so ob.org/volunteer. You can sign up. You'll get emails. You'll see all the events that are possible to sign up for. We just launched a new website, so all the information's really well organized and really well presented there. If you want to give, ob.org as well is a great way. I would just make one plug for year end. We've actually got a $70,000 matching challenge through the end of the year. And so every dollar people give up to $70,000 will be matched up to that amount. And so they can kind of make more bang for their buck, double their impact by giving to Operation Blessing. Year end is a big time in the nonprofit space. I mean, there are many organizations that raise about 75% of their funding in this last 2 months of the year.
Yes.
And so we've had a great year. We're growing, and God has been really good to us. But we also want to be sure that the money we raise now is going to allow us to budget for and plan to say yes to more needs in the next year. And so
the need is always growing.
Oh, it's always growing.
It has not stopped.
No. And when I talk to our teams in the field, we want to always be able to say yes to them, because the teams in Indonesia, for example, the teams in Myanmar, they're the ones who are seeing the needs front and center in their countries every single day. And they're coming back to us and saying, hey, can we help these people? Can we help these people? And we want to say yes. And when people give to Operation Blessing here, they allow us to say yes to helping those people there. And that's one of the real, I don't know if it's unique necessarily to Operation Blessing, but I think it's a big deal. We don't have a bunch of decisions being made about Myanmar and Indonesia and Peru and Guatemala here in Virginia Beach. We've got local leaders who are from those places, who know those places, that speak the language, that look like the people they're helping, that can understand exactly what the needs are there and execute based on those things. And so we're not trying to have this cookie cutter approach from Virginia Beach that we just send this one plan out and we do the same thing everywhere. It needs to look different in Kenya than it does in Peru, than it does in Guatemala, than it does in Indonesia. And I think having that local office presence really kind of sets us apart and allows us to have a bigger impact.
So give me one more story from this year that touched you and reinforces why you do this. I know you probably have a million of them.
Well, I can tell you a big one that actually, it probably has to do with real estate in some way, is the LA wildfires early in the year.
Oh, yeah.
We're coming up on that anniversary, and we went out there, and I hadn't really seen devastation like that before, not domestically from a fire like that, because it was so, it was right in the heart of the suburbs. I mean, so many houses were so damaged. And so by the time I got on site and was driving, it was very strange, Amy. It was like driving through like a cemetery. You would drive down these streets, and the only thing left were the fireplaces and all these houses. So it was like these headstones just marking these houses. And you begin to realize in this area, Altadena and some of these areas, these were generational homes that people had bought for $185,000 a long time ago.
Yep.
These are not high-income families.
Nope.
They don't have retirement. They don't have a bunch of wealth to pass along. But the home now is worth $1.75 million because it's California and home values through the roof.
That was their wealth.
And that was what they were going to pass on to the next generation. And now that's gone in an instant.
Yes.
They're underinsured.
Most of them, I was going to say, did not have insurance.
Not to the level they are, at least of the value. And so I think seeing some of that devastation has been real challenging. And yet, in that moment, we showed up with a great church partner out there called Bel Air Church. They're one of the bigger Presbyterian churches in the area. Their pastor is also named Drew, great guy, and just a phenomenal leader who's committed to a 10-year rebuilding process in LA. And they're going to rebuild homes. They've given money out that we've helped them raise and given to them, to families specifically, because you had people who were still paying a mortgage and trying to live in a hotel with kids, trying to make 2 payments plus buy groceries. You know what I mean?
They have a mortgage on a house that does not exist anymore.
And trying to figure out insurance, and again, most places underinsured. So places like that can really be disheartening, and yet you walk in, and what we found was some of the local heroes, unsuspecting people. I met a guy named Jose. He's 28 years old, he's got 2 kids. He had a home business. He sold collectible stuff out of his house. A lot of it was damaged and gone. He could have left and gone and done something different, but he stayed. He set up a corner shop basically to give away product to any of his neighbors who were still in the area. An entire corner of this main street he runs it every single day. And we were able to then go in and give him box after box after box of supplies. And he was our volunteer, if you will, our frontline staff, giving that out across his entire community. And I think things like that just encourage you that, you always hear that old Mr. Rogers line, look for the helpers, right? If you see somebody in an Operation Blessing shirt, you found a helper. Look for the helpers, you're going to find us. But also there are so many incredible people out there that want to make a difference. And as Operation Blessing, we want to come alongside them and really kind of lift their arms up and say, hey, we're behind you, here we go. So that would be one, and there's so many I could share with you. I mentioned, this actually is an older story, but I think it really matters. I talked about clean water earlier.
Yeah.
The difference between just drinking water or actually having sanitation and hygiene. It's one of the first stories I heard when I got here that has just stuck with me. There's a woman named Ignacia in Latin America, and in her entire life, she'd only ever bathed in a river where animals go to the bathroom and drink and bathe and all those various things. And for not a lot of money, we put in a water system, a sink, a toilet, a shower in her home. And she cried, came to our team and just said, this is the first time in my life I've ever not felt like an animal, because I've been bathing where all the animals bathe my entire life. I've been, and I just think we don't understand what little investment we make here has an exponential impact on the lives of people.
Yeah.
And when you begin to transform how people feel about themselves in that way, they can believe there's a God who loves them and designed them in a specific way. And that's why, again, we believe in that idea of help and hope. We want to restore dignity in the process of what we do. And so I would just say there are probably 1,000 stories like that I could tell you from across all of our countries around the world. The war in Ukraine is still going on, and Orphans Promise, all of those 19 centers that Orphans Promise had, as the war began and everybody began to migrate west, all 19 training centers became refugee stops. And so we were able to minister and feed people in that moment. Now they're back up and running, still helping kids along the way. And so we believe that we're really well positioned whenever that war ends to go back in and begin rebuilding houses. The footprint we have with the 70 countries, the 33 offices, wherever something happens in the world, we shouldn't be very far away. We can get there. We've got the team to do it. And God has really brought incredible people to our staff here who have a heart to go make a difference. And so, again, I couldn't be more proud to lead this group. I don't feel like I deserve it, but I'm humbled, I'm honored, and I think we have a phenomenal mission and a group of people who are able to carry it out.
Wow. I'm humbled to be here, just to hear your story. It's unbelievable and amazing, and I feel like I could ask you a million questions. I want to go back to make sure that if I'm going to challenge my listeners today for that end of the year donation. So I have a check for you today that we're going to give you, but I want to challenge all of my listeners, both local and not local, to make a donation before the end of the year. No amount is too small, and it gets doubled, you guys. Did you hear that? Doubled.
That's awesome.
To make that difference.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. For those who are local, make sure you join the packing. Come join us next year.
Yeah. We love to have people out, especially local people. We are right in the heart of Chesapeake, but again, we're working all across Hampton Roads, and we want people to feel like they're able to love their community, and we're helping them do that. And we'd love to have them come join us. And you get a free t-shirt in the process, which is never a bad thing.
And it's right here.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't even have to go far, you guys. I know I've seen so many people post, where can I go to help out? Where can I teach my kids about giving back? And how can I take that, servant's leadership and attitude and put it to use,
Yeah, and stay tuned, because we do some really cool stuff. We just did Faith and Family Night with the Norfolk Admirals. And so we were in the basement of Scope. We're packing these hunger relief bags. We've got music going. The mascot's out there with us. We got to watch the hockey game afterwards. We're going to do one at the Norfolk Tide Stadium in the coming year and do a Faith and Family packing event there. So there's a lot of fun ways to do it too, especially if you're looking to get your kids involved. Yeah. Those are great ways to get the kids involved and help them, again, just begin to understand it's got to be about more than just us. It's got to be about helping others. Yes. And especially this time of year, it can get so consumeristic and we can get so focused.
So
and I fall into the trap, believe me. I got 2 kids and a wife, but there are so many people out there who just need a little bit of help, and we can be that help and that hope.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. I am challenging all my Dispatch on Purpose listeners to go to Operation Blessing's website, make a small donation, any little bit. Your dollar goes so far overseas and locally, and I hope that you will feel the need as you listen to this and reach out to help. Thank you. Thank you, Drew, for giving us your time.
This has been great.
This is amazing, and I'm really, really grateful to have you. Continue to listen as we roll into 2026. We are excited. We'll have more charities, more entrepreneurs. We've got some really great things lined up in the coming year and ways that you can help and give back. Thank you. I'm your host, Amy Dahl, and we'll see you next year on the Dispatch on Purpose.